Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to RadioAirJesus.com. I'm just so blessed today. Sandra, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
You doing good? Yeah, you know what? Today's going to be a really awesome day. I want to say hello to all of our listeners from all over the world who's tuned in. You know what? It's going to be pretty awesome. We got a live interview today with Leonard Jones. Leonard Jones is an amazing worship leader that I come to know many years ago on through the Morning Star Ministries in his worship. I tell you what, very powerful. Very powerful. Would you not agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing, powerful ministry. Man of God, his worship is just insanely awesome. Not only that, but he's a guitar player. He's I think he plays every instrument that is possibly known to man. So today we have a live interview with Leonard Jones. So, Leonard, I don't know, brother. Can you hear me, Leonard? Say hello to our listeners, brother.
Hello to our listeners.
All right, there you go. Leonard, you know, brother, I just want to, if you can, brother, tell us a little bit about your ministry, man. Just kind of where you're at right now, what God's kind of doing with you.
Well, I'm doing a lot of traveling right now. I went around the world 4 times last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I did a lot. Did 3 trips to Japan and Dubai and Australia. I did Europe, all over America. And basically what I do is I go to these churches and train their worship teams and try to expand their mind out of maybe the traditional worship that is being promoted throughout the world right now, just to help them realize that there's more chords than E minor and G and D over F sharp.
Yeah, that's really good, because that seems to be a progression, right? Of a lot of the worship songs that are out there right now is exactly what you said. Yeah, That's awesome. When you say literally around the world, you really mean you've been around the world, huh?
Yeah, literally, like starting here, going west, and staying west.
How many people can say they do that and actually do something they love, and just it's amazing.
It's so glamorous too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the airports and that kind of stuff. It's really glamorous.
Yeah. Well, brother, we got a couple questions and kind of a user, viewer questions they want to ask. So I'm gonna allow Sandra to kind of go ahead. And Sandra,
Well, when you were saying that about traveling, I was wondering what challenges you find. You travel everywhere. What do you see in the worship around the world? What are you encountering?
Well, there's signs of a lot of life. Amazingly enough, many small churches around the world just really coming on fire, not being cookie cutter and actually coming up with their own styles and stuff. I find maybe a lot of the larger churches, there's not quite as much fire as I'm seeing in the smaller places. When I say small, I'm talking like 50 to 200. A lot of times those churches are just blazing. And great worship teams, people just going after God for hour after hour, and they don't really have much of a agenda for the meeting. They just came to seek the face of God.
Awesome. Why do you believe that is, though, Leonard? I mean, in going to these churches, these large churches, why do you believe you're seeing more a move? I guess more presence. Can I say that more presence? Is that what it is, or is it just more hunger?
Well, I just feel like they have less of an agenda. They're not waiting. They're not trying to get the people out in an hour. They're actually going after the Lord's presence. And sometimes the Lord's presence, the Lord is, He doesn't work on an hourly basis like us. He's out of time. So, like, when we spend an hour or two worshiping the Lord, to us it's an hour or two. To Him, it's like a millisecond. And like when the presence of, I mean, we've had meetings where we worship the Lord for 50 hours, and you can kind of, it's almost like maybe, I guess you get the Lord's attention as soon as you start worshiping, but it doesn't really get your attention until you really go for it. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but there's just something about extended times of worship.
So when people are really hungry for,
right, they're very hungry.
So that's key to getting more and more presence, I guess, just keeping the presence, the abiding. Everybody's talking about wanting the abiding presence in their midst. And, but I guess maybe we kind of walk away after an hour.
Right.
Is what you're saying. And so when you get really to the point of where you're serious about walking with the Lord in your life, then it's continual worship. And it's not based on time.
What happens to me is, like, I get up usually every morning and I get on one of my instruments and I'll worship the Lord for 3 or 4 hours, but here's the deal. I don't usually feel him. But every once in a while, after about 2 or 3 hours, the presence starts coming in, and I asked him, I said, why don't, I was at a friend of mine's house, Adam Cates, and actually at his parents' house, and I'd been in there like going crazy, just worshiping the Lord for 3 hours. And all of a sudden, his presence came into the room, and I said, God, I wonder why we don't feel this at church. And I really felt like the Lord said, well, when's the last time you worshiped me for 3 hours at the church?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's true. Very true. Hunger. If you search, you will find. If you knock, you will open the doors. That's awesome.
I have a question about, I'd like you to kind of tell us about, I was reading about your school that you were opening. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Right now, I'm doing one major school of my own this year. It's going to be in Herrnhut, Germany, September 1st through October 31st. That's a 2-month, 60 days, very intensive school. Me and a man by the name of Austin Beal, who's a genius piano player, guitar, bass, drums guy, who any of you religious folks would know him because he was Benny Hinn's piano player for 11 years.
Oh, yeah. Austin is amazing. You know what? I've seen him many times. Actually, we had Jeremy Burke with us, I want to say about 2 weeks ago.
He plays with Jeremy, plays with Rick Pino a lot.
Yeah, I think we saw you guys in Austin. You were doing a 50-hour burn with Rick Pino and all the guys out there, and I think he was there with you guys too that night.
Oh, that was in Texas?
Yeah, it was in Texas. It sure was. It was a while back. It might have been about a year or two ago, maybe. But well, anyway, I saw Austin playing the keyboard and playing the bass with
at the same time.
At the same, yeah.
And he sounds just as good on both of them.
Yeah, and not only that, but he's grooving. I mean, he's giving that groove, that funk sound, and it's like, wow. That's amazing. Anyway,
if the secular people would know him because he used to be the keyboard player for Al Jarreau, very famous jazz singer, and also Larry Carlton. He's played with him, and so we are the main instructors at the school in Germany, but we'll be Skyping in a lot of great teachers, and all the private lessons will be Skyped in. That for instruments that me and Austin can't handle.
Yeah,
it's a 2-month, very intensive school.
Wow, that's powerful. That is powerful.
And it's going to be in Herrnhut, Germany, which is where the Moravian Church started. Very, very full of history. It's where the modern missions movement started, was in Herrnhut, Germany. And it's just it's really a time of destiny for those that just they're tired pretty much of the run-of-the-mill, the way they're playing, the way they're thinking about the Lord, the way they're, we're going to go after God for 2 months, right in the heart of where pretty much the first they had a 24-hour worship and prayer meeting that lasted 100 years in this town. Wow. And that's, we're going after God, like, it's basically for people that are really serious, though. It's not for, people that, are looking for the ankle deep stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I noticed that it was named, is this the school that's named the Levite Praise Institute?
That's the name of my ministry. The name of this is actually just Worship Camp.
Oh, okay.
And it's, they can find me, they can find information about it on my Facebook and also at leonardjones.org.
Okay. I was curious if you could explain to us, is there a difference between a Levite and a worshiper? Is there something that you have found is a calling for a Levite?
Well, we're all called to worship the Lord. Mm-hmm. The Levites were they were actually a tribe, the tribe of Levi.
Yes.
And it was just kind of like basically their job.
So it's like what you're talking about in this worship, that it's a lifestyle of,
right.
You're not going there, like you said, ankle deep. This is, you are becoming worship.
Right. Well, yeah, I could be wrong, but to me, a Levite is somebody, it is actually their job. That's what they do for their living. Because that's what the Levites did.
Oh, okay.
Now, everybody's called to worship. But there are certain people that they draw their living from that, and I draw my living from that. And I'm not saying that everybody that wants to come to the school, they don't have to draw their living from it, but that's what I'm after. There are certain people that are called, because see, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I couldn't sit in my bedroom and practice and worship the Lord for 4 or 5 hours.
Absolutely.
I'd be working, at the bus station or something. So I get to actually get up, have my cup of coffee, and just go for it for hours. Yeah. Well, if I wasn't a Levite and making my living doing that, I could not do that.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Hi, Leonard. Hi. This is Alice. I had a question for you. I was watching a video of yours on YouTube, and you said some things that were very sincere, and I wanted to see if you could go more into detail with it, because it really caught my attention. But that song, Jacob, you wrote, and you were talking about a time of your life where you had such a scare, and you're like, I hope that's the only and last scare I ever have. But it was about the wrestling, with the angel, and you start talking about how that song came about. Can you tell us about that time?
Well, actually, I can't, probably, because I don't remember. That's been, how long is it? That's like 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I just saw, it was just a quick spill that you did before you actually sang the song, Jacob, and I just wanted to know, because you didn't go too much into detail on that, what exactly happened during that time with you, because I believe right now in the spirit a lot of people are going through that wrestling right now, and wanted to see, what you had in that experience.
Well, very likely, if it was 8 or 10 years ago, I was going through there was a hard time. We were going through a very hard time in our marriage at that time, and we basically, it was touch and go, and the Lord, it was during that time where my wife and I just went after God just relentlessly, and when we did that, it really pulled us through, because our marriage could have disintegrated at that time, and we just decided, what, we're not doing, because what happened with us is, before we got married, we made a decision that we were not going to get a divorce no matter what happened. And so, but the stuff hit the fan in our marriage around that time, And we just decided, and we pulled through it. We've been married now for 29 years. And you just you have to just buckle down, and and basically no matter what happens, you just have to go ahead and say, you know what, God and our marriage is more important than anything else. It's more important than the church. It's more important than our children. It's like that. We are going to go after God, and that really just pulled us through. So awesome. That's probably, if it was, I think that's about the time we were going through that time, and thank God we're past.
Yeah.
Amen. Wow.
I think because of everything that the Lord uses you for, the enemy just tries every way to catch your attention, and we hear about that from a lot of different people, how that's the first thing he tries to take is he comes to hit the family.
Right.
But God is so good because, he just gives you the strength to pull through every time.
That's right.
Yep.
Do you ever come to a point where you're just totally burned out? Because you travel a lot, you get pulled away from your family a lot. You get, just pulled everywhere. And, your name is very well known. But is there ever a time that God just says, you know what, you just need to stop?
Well, I haven't hit that time yet. So
what do you do to keep yourself going where you don't get burned out?
Well, I spend a lot of private time with the Lord.
Okay.
A lot of people that are on the road, they don't get to do that. And I just found that, and I tell the people when if I'm staying at a home or something, I say, listen, I get up about 5 or 6 in the morning and I play my instrument for 3 or 4 hours. And I worship the Lord. I hope that doesn't bother you.
No, that's awesome.
No, not at all. I think that it's good that you bring a different perspective of being a Levite and being the one that's worshiping and traveling, because I think there's a lot of worshipers out there that need to hear this during this time. They need to be. It's like you got wisdom in your pockets here. And, it's good that you're just releasing to those that are the younger generation that need to hear this.
Yeah, Leonard, you said what Alice was the question she asked. I guess I want to kind of jump in on that question also. Maybe not necessarily burned out like with God. That's not, I don't think. But I guess the question that I would want to know is, do you ever come to a part where, say you're traveling, you're all over the world, and you're just like, man, you know what? I just don't want to do this today. I just want to I just want to sit down and put my feet up and watch television, spend time with my daughter, hang out, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? Just, you just want to I don't want to say live your life as a normal person, because, that's not but you just want to do I don't even know what the word is, because that is normal. So,
Yeah.
But I guess the unnormal thing by just kind of I guess putting a different hat for that particular moment. Do you ever feel like you just want to just stop for just a moment and just man, I just need to relax?
Well, actually, that's where I find my relaxation.
That's good. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah,
and I don't like. I don't like. It's never been for me I've got to practice now, or now I have to worship the Lord. I mean, it's like that's the first thing that hits my mind when I get up.
Yes.
Actually the first thing that hits my mind is either the bathroom or coffee, and then one of my instruments.
Yeah, I'm here with you. See my coffee cup right here. It's good.
I think what we, because of the listeners and the young people that, would love to understand, they're not going to get to go to your institute more than likely. What would you pour in? What is key, to pour in? And I think that's why the questions are coming, so that you can share with others that, it isn't a boring, the next generation is like, I have to get in my word. Oh, I have to. And to see someone as yourself who you say, well, this is my job, but it is my life. It is who I am. And this is the place to be. And it's wonderful and it's powerful and it's extreme. And, you are, I've seen you with all kinds of different instruments and been in where you've ministered where it's just like the presence is like extreme. You bring it in to the room and, everyone senses the presence of the Lord that you're carrying because of who you are and what you do. And yet you're saying this is not a boring life. This is not something, so I think that's encouraging others. What is key? What have you found as you have raised up many leaders that these young people, I heard you say Kim Walker and some others that these young people are familiar with. What is key? What have you found that you need to deposit? What has the Lord shown you? Deposit this in them so that they can grasp what you have come to grasp.
Well, first off, let me just clarify. Kim Walker came to our school, but she was mainly tied to Susie.
Love Susie.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
And if you watch Kim, you'll see Susie all day.
Awesome.
I had very little input with her, but she did come to the school, and so did John Mark McMillan and
awesome.
Johnny Helser and Stephen Roach and a lot of these guys that are getting well known around the earth right now.
But you influence.
Of course. And we did worship together all the time. We were always one of our the way we did it when I was with Morning Star was I think is a very good way to do it. It's more like an apprenticeship. Mm-hmm. Like we didn't just let them lead the whole service. We would lead some. They would lead some. They learned from us. We'd learn from them. Mm-hmm. And so it's when I really decided to I guess it was about 30 years ago. A guy named Phil Driscoll got saved in our church.
Yeah. Trumpet
player, really, really good worship guy. And I went on the road with him, and he never ever taught me about worship. But just being there on the stage with him and playing, I learned. Just watching.
I saw y'all at the Harvest Fest.
He would come in and he would he knew how to ride the waves of the Spirit during a meeting. Mm-hmm. Well, how can you learn? You can't write that in a book. Mm-hmm. So you learn by being with people that have already learned. And that's basically how a lot of those worship leaders learned from us is we just had them on the stage with us, and they could see the way we would, when the Spirit came in, how to move in the prophetic song, there's some people that are better at it than others. I'm not like awesome at it in the like with words, but where I like to do is when the Lord moves on me, usually prophetically during worship, it's usually instrumental. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you've heard the saying, too beautiful for words. Mm-hmm. That's like, when I'm playing my instrument, it's because I don't have the words.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't have the words to say how great he is, so I just play it.
I just felt the Spirit all over that, man. That was powerful, yes. Come on. Yeah. Come on, Leonard. Keep it coming.
That's
good.
Awesome.
Leonard, I have a question for you. We had Susie was a guest with us, and so was Don and Christine, and I know y'all are really all good friends. And one of the questions that we asked them is being a worship leader. There's a lot of responsibilities, obviously, and you're dealing with the young artists, and you're dealing with a lot of people that are coming in, and you're mentoring them, and you're showing them, how do you handle a situation where, as a worship leader, where there's disagreement and there's discord in a worship team? Because I know when you get a lot of great minds together, people have their own ways of trying to input stuff, So what would be some advice that you would give to a worship team who may be starting or maybe even who's already established, but they're just struggling in this area of maybe flowing together. Yeah, that would be a good way to say it.
Well, there's probably not any pat answer to that, but the main thing is somebody has to be a strong leader. You can't just have everybody being the leader, and you don't. Sometimes you have to say who the leader is. Other times you don't. Like let's say me and Don and Susie get together. Okay, we defer to one another. I defer to Susie when she gets something. I defer to Don. He defers to me. But everybody knows Don's the leader. I mean, and it's an unspoken thing. Nobody's ever said, Don, you're the leader. It's just obvious.
Yeah.
And so, but he carries such there's a dignity about him. And there's some kind of thing about him that he would never say that about himself, but we all know. And so when somebody emits that leadership, there's a lot less discord. In other words, I'm not sitting there trying to knock him off of his position. I'm actually sitting there trying to come under him and undergird him and do what I can do to help him, And
good.
I think if everybody, but at the same time, he will at some time he will just like look over at me and give me the leadership. Mm-hmm. But it's not something I've taken.
Yeah.
He gives it to me, and so it's really deferring to one another, but also recognizing who really has the anointing to be leading this thing. And then there's also some people that think, well, hey, I should be leading this thing. Now, they need to read the thing about, was it Jambers and what the guys that came to Moses and said, hey, we're just as good as you, and the ground swallowed them up.
Yeah.
So in other words, leadership, you need to recognize it, and you need to not be so high-minded and heady about yourself. I mean, I am actually good at what I do, but at the same time, I recognize anointing and I recognize leadership when I see it, and I have no problem at all coming and undergirding that.
All right, I guess another question I have, because as you're saying that, what do you believe it takes to be an actual worship leader? What do you feel the requirements are? And I don't want to say like it's a job, but if you were to sit there and what would you say the requirements would be for someone to be a worship leader?
Got to be saved.
Well, that's a good good start right there.
Although I played at a church in Europe. I'm not even going to tell you where.
Name nameless.
And the worship leader did not know the Lord yet,
wow.
But he was the best guy that they had, and he told the pastor, he said, look, I don't believe in this.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
And Susie went to that church too, and
oh no.
I'm sure Susie has some
pretty
words.
But you know what? I mean, sure enough, man, when that guy led, it was like, okay, so how does this come up? Anyway, that kind of broke my paradigm. But at the same, I believe, the Lord. Who knows? Anyway, I would say knowing the Lord is a pretty good prerequisite.
All right, good. Yes,
good. And because otherwise you can become a song leader, and a song leader is different than a worshiper and a worship leader.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't perceive myself so much as a worship leader as much as a worshiper, because if you've ever been to where I'm at, I don't tell the people to do anything. I never lead them. As far as direct, let's say this, I don't direct them.
Okay.
I do lead them because I go into it myself. And I usually, I make sure everything's in place, and then I close my eyes.
Yeah.
And get with God.
And you open up your eyes, and everybody's on their face. Isn't that just powerful?
And it's just up to, it's like, I'm going in. If you guys want to come on. You know.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing. Yeah. Yes.
So sometimes it happens, and there are times I'm sure I leave people out, that way. I'm not, I'm not one of these people that say, everybody stand up. Okay, let's shout to the Lord. Let's do this. All right, sit down, stand up, clap, not bend over or whatever, I just don't do that, because that's one of the things Rick Joyner said. He said, don't ever tell the people to do anything. Awesome. Just let them do it. If they want to shout, let them shout. And
wow.
And so that's been kind of what I've done, and it works sometimes.
Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
Now, if I go to a church where they are used to being directed the whole time, it's a little harder, because they're used to you telling them to shout. They're used to clap their hands to, give the Lord a shout.
They're waiting for direction.
Anyway.
Well, we know that you have a new CD out. It's been out for a little bit, but I want you to tell us a little bit about Perspectives.
Okay, the name is called Perspective.
Perspective, okay.
Right, and basically it's about, I left my position at Morning Star almost 3 years ago, and I had been worship leader and director of the music department and the worship school for 20 years there. And when I left, I to be honest, I didn't even know what I was going to do. I just knew that the Lord wanted me to leave. And so when I left, I just spent hours and hours with the Lord in my room, just worshiping. And the Lord kept waking me up at 3:41 in the morning. I mean, over and over again. I mean, I'd look at the watch, look at my clock, 3:41 in the morning, and I would get there and the Lord started showing stuff about Himself that I didn't know. I mean, I got saved in 1971. During the height of the Jesus movement, and somehow or another, I picked up that God was like mad at me all the time, and that He, when I did good, He kind of liked me. When I did bad, He hated me. And I just picked that up. Nobody told me that, but I picked it up somehow in the church, and. So whenever I was doing righteous things and all, everything was happening, and I started realizing, God really likes me. I mean, He really does, and He likes me even after I've done really bad things. And I started seeing stuff about Him that I never heard in the church before, and like stuff like I had been away from Morning Star for like almost a year or 8 months, and I was walking down the beach, again, 3:41 in the morning, and I just was looking at the stars and the ocean and everything, and I said to Him, I said, God, You must be out of your mind, full of joy, and you must be a very happy God. And I said, because anybody that could make this has got to be really pleased with himself and very happy. And I said, but I'll be honest with you, I don't see that in the Bible, and I don't see it in the church. I see, and I'm just talking to the Lord. I said, and I said, I'll be honest with you. When I read the Bible, it seems like you're kind of mad at me all the time. And you're mad at people all the time, and you just basically kind of put up with us because of Jesus. And I said, but I can tell by your creation that you're full of joy. You know, I mean, I can see this. Okay, you're full of joy. I know it. I see the Bible. I see the church, and I go, what's the thing here? And the Lord spoke to me very clearly, you know, and He said, you are very right. I am full of joy. I'm happy all the time. Mm-hmm. And He said, by the way, the people that wrote the Bible, everything they wrote is true about me, but they didn't know everything about me. Mm. You know, and I thought, wow, that kind of sounds weird, you know. And then I remembered that scripture that Paul said, right now we see through a glass darkly. Mm. You know, in other words, Paul was saying, we don't see everything. You know, I mean, everybody thinks of Paul as this, like, supernatural, like, you know, a superhero out of the comic books, you know. And I've been to the place where he was thrown in prison in Philippi. Guess what? I looked down into the pit where they threw him, and guess what I saw? His toilet. Mm. The place where Paul had to use the bathroom while he was in prison there. It just struck me, my gosh, Paul was a guy just like we are. Yeah. You know, he was in that prison cell, going through the same. I mean, if we were in that same situation with him, we'd be bleeding, you know, and stuff like that. And he went through the same stuff that we went through. And so we get the idea of the guys that wrote the Bible as these, you know, this crazy, you know, I don't know. It's like a Charlton Heston movie or something, you know, that's just larger than life, you know. And if you've ever been to Israel, you know, you walk on these places, you know, where Jesus walked, and it's just dirt like every place else, you know. And so you get on the Mount of Olives, you look down into Jerusalem, and you start getting a more accurate picture of who God is, who the men of the Bible are. And so anyway, my perspective of God changed during that time, you know, and I started seeing that, my relationship has become really, really close with Him. You know, I find myself literally praying and worshiping and talking to Him all the time. You know, that scripture that says, pray always without ceasing. Yeah. You know, I used to think, wow, that's really hard. You know, because you'd have to, because in my mind, I used to think, well, you got in your prayer closet, you know, and you shut everything else out, and that was prayer, and everything else was secular, you know. And I started realizing, man, you can just talk to God all the time. You talk to Him on the toilet, you talk to Him in the shower, when you're going to bed, when you're eating, the whole thing. In other words, He's there. He's in the bathroom with you, you know. He's at the restaurant with you, you know. So you just talk to Him all the time, and so my perspective again of God has changed. And so a lot of the songs on that album are really they're about that.
They come from a different perspective, the kingdom perspective.
Matter of fact, there's a song on the album, and I can't even remember the name of the song right now because I don't think of them in terms like that. It's
I got the album here in front of me. I can kind of name them if you want me to. I got one that's Lord Come, Inside of Your Love, It Is Finished.
God is finished.
That's it. Oh, just the titles alone are just like, bam.
Right. I don't know if you can. You want us to play It Is Finished? It Is Finished, but the words to that song, because that was one of the main songs that came through that new revelation of Jesus. If you wanted to play that one, because the words on that are just, you know, they still get me when I sing them.
All right, here we go, everybody. Everybody on RadioAirJesus.com. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. We're going to play one of the songs off of Leonard Jones' Perspective release. This one is called It Is Finished. Welcome back. That was awesome, man.
Yes, it was very good.
Good stuff, brother. Good stuff. It is finished.
Yeah, that's kind of my jazz roots coming through there.
Yeah, you could hear it.
I love that.
Was Austin on that one playing the keyboard?
Yeah, Austin Beal was playing the piano. David Lale was playing the sax.
I tell you what, brother. If you ever, I play a mean cowbell. So you let me know. Cowbell right here. No, that was really good, brother. Yeah, thank you so much for allowing us to share that over the radio waves. I believe do you have something you want to share with him?
No, I was just going to say something. I had watched one of your interviews that said you mentioned the fact that you're after training people into being creative, but you also mentioned the worship coming from your body, your mind, your soul, and your spirit. And I believe that's like when I was listening to that song, it's just the whole essence of everything that I am captured in that release that you're, just the atmosphere. And it's what I know that's where you've gone to. That's what you're, when you go to these places to help people, I know it's an immediately short period of time. And what is something that the Lord leads you to help people live in that place that you've discovered?
Well, Jesus, he's in Matthew 22:37. He said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, your intellect." And in my opinion, most of the worship that's coming out nowadays, it really deals with only the spirit. It doesn't, if I want to go get my mind ministered to or my soul, I'll go to a symphony concert, or maybe go see Dave Matthews or some great band, because they will minister to my soul, but they, and actually a lot of those bands don't leave the spirit out, It's just it's not as prevalent as it would be in a worship service. So my thing has always been to try to get the worship teams to start enlisting and incorporating the stuff that will speak to people's minds, that will speak to their hearts and their soul. Because how can you love the Lord, with all your heart, your soul, and your mind? Well, to me, that's worship. That's what that means. And there's just something that happens when the whole person is ministered to that you don't get it when it's. That's why I want to see the next generation learn. If you've ever been to our schools, or I mean, a lot of times we'll start out a song with maybe a Bach piece or Mozart, or some famous rock song, because those songs speak to people's souls. They speak to their mind and their intellect, and I just, why should we have much more at our fingertips than Haydn did. Much more at our fingertips than Beethoven, Bach, and all those guys, and a lot of the greats that came out. How is it that we're still doing their music in worship? I mean, it's there's a lot of time. You go to some churches, and they're still doing music that was written 400 or 500 years ago. Because it was ministered, it was written for the body, the soul, the mind, and the spirit. And so that's what I want to see the next generation to grab a hold of. And yet it's not easy, because the spirit does take, to enter into the spirit takes very little training. But boy, it takes a lot of training to touch somebody's mind. It takes a lot of training to touch somebody's soul.
Very good. Very awesome.
And so that's one of the things, it's that creativity, that spirit. One of the things that we do at our school is we're not trying to make them cookie cutters into us. What we're trying to do is actually release what's inside of them. And how you do that, in other words, if I didn't know my scales so well, if I didn't know my chords so well, I could never play in the spirit. When I go to play in the spirit, I don't have to think, okay, this is we're in the Dorian mode here, or Phrygian mode. Okay, we're in my, I don't think that. Awesome. It all comes out because I've been playing that so many times that I never even think about the notes that I'm playing. I'm thinking about the sound of what I'm playing. But if I didn't have all that training, I wouldn't be able to do that. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the next generation so well trained that they can, no matter what God drops into their heart, they can play it. In other words, we should be so good on our instrument, we're like a blank canvas, and God can play through us.
I like
That's good.
But he couldn't, if we don't know our instrument. I've heard these people say, yeah, when the Spirit comes on me, then I can really play. I've heard them say that, but I've never heard them do it. It's usually people that really know how to play when that God really moves through.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well, I know we're going to be wrapping this up. I know that Alice has something to share with you. Is it okay if she releases something to you?
Sure.
I was on my way over here this morning, and I didn't know that you would go spend time with the Lord on the ocean, and he said the way that he created the ocean is the way he created you, with that same creativity. And I was listening to one of your songs, and he said, my son is full of my creativity, because that's the way I've made him, like the ocean. There's so many mysteries inside of him that he hasn't even opened up yet. But he will. He will open them up, the mysteries that I've put inside of himself. He just hasn't seen them yet. And I saw you in front of the ocean, and your arms stretched, completely stretched out. And you said, really loud with your voice, you just said, I love you, Lord. And you just screamed. But as you screamed it out, you ran into the ocean. And the Lord said that you were going to be fearless, running into the ocean. And he was just going to be submerging you in his waters. And so submerged that you were just going to be in this different place with him. And you would discover the mysteries that he's put even inside of you, in that creativity, in that creative place that he's even built the ocean with. Because the same hands that created the ocean are the same hands that created you.
Wow.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. That's sweet.
Wow. Powerful.
Good.
Leonard, brother, thank you so much for this amazing time that we're able to spend with you here on Radio Air Jesus. You know, we're going to leave our listeners but with one of your songs. But before we do that, tell everybody who's listening how they can get a hold of you if they want to have you come and minister at their conference, church event, whatever it is that the Lord will lead you. How can they contact you for booking and your Facebook? And I don't know if you have a MySpace if people still use that, but if you got one, tell us how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook, easy, just Leonard Jones. And I have a website, leonardjones.org. That has my email address on it, and they can email me personally through that. I'm not really great about promoting myself, so I don't really do that much. I kind of just wait for people to call me and say, hey, can you come? And so nobody will get a call from me unless they call me. But it's been the Lord. I mean, He really has been able to. I was on the road 200 days last year, and then this year it looks like it's going to be about the same, maybe a little bit more.
We need to get you in the San Antonio, Texas area soon.
So you're in San Antonio. That's
yes,
awesome.
San Antonio.
When I was in the Air Force, I was in boot camp in San Antonio.
Oh yeah, all right.
So I know it well.
Well, that's awesome. Again, brother, thank you so much for being with us and for being a part of this. I know that people will be impacted by everything that was released. Leonard, if you could do us an honor and pray for our listeners and pray for the release and just be totally led and let God rip. Come on.
Okay, Lord, I pray for everybody that's hearing this. God, that they'll just find out how great you are, and you'll reveal something about yourself to them that they didn't know before, and that you'll continually do that because you're endless. And I ask you, God, that they'll find out how endless you are, how deep you are, and they won't be satisfied really with what they've been hearing at church. They won't be satisfied with just reading the Bible. They'll actually spend time with the one who wrote the Bible.
Yes.
They'll actually just find out how funny you are, and how tricky you are, how loving you are.
Yes.
And just the things about that we don't really hear about God. Just how wise you are. That you'll even give people, some of the people that are listening, like witty inventions, Lord, that they didn't even know that they were inventors, Lord, and give some people songs, Lord, that they didn't even know that they were songwriters. Some people, give them people that don't even know that they're painters. They don't even know that they can paint. They don't even know that they can do pottery. They don't even know what they can do. That you can show it and you'll reveal it to them, Lord. I pray that we take the limits off of you right now, God. And we take them up and we just release our minds to soar and to find out the depths and the heights of your love. In Jesus' name, amen. And I want to say hi to my wife, Marla. Hi. And to my sister, Cindy. And everybody that's watching.
All right, we are now off. Awesome.